You're lying in bed right now, maybe scrolling, maybe half asleep, maybe already forgetting you're even tired. But for most of human history, this moment didn't exist. No mattress, no pillow, no frame holding you above the ground. So the real question is simple. How did humans sleep before beds existed? The short answer is, they didn't sleep the way you think at all. The long answer is far more interesting. Let's start with the truth most people don't picture correctly. For over 200,000 years, humans didn't have furniture. Not because they were less advanced, but because survival didn't leave room for it. Sleep wasn't a private ritual. It wasn't even always comfortable. It was a group survival strategy. You didn't go to bed. You stopped moving and stayed alive through the night. If you walked into an ancient human camp at night, you wouldn't see bedrooms. You'd see bodies, close together, sometimes layered near firelight, sometimes pressed into shallow ground depressions lined with grass, leaves, or animal hides. Not for comfort, for insulation. The ground was cold, the night was dangerous, and separation meant risk. So humans adapted in a very simple way. They minimized distance between each other, not emotionally, physically. Before beds, sleep spaces were temporary and flexible. Depending on the environment, humans used flattened earth, leaf, bedding, grass piles, animal skins, cave floors, ash-cleared ground near fires. But none of these were personal spaces. There was no your side of the bed. There was no your bed. There was only the safest place we can all stay together tonight. Because separation wasn't comfort, it was exposure. Modern people often imagine ancient sleep as uncomfortable but peaceful. That part is only half true. Sleeping arrangements were shaped by three forces. 1. Cold. Body heat was protection. Group sleeping increased survival. 2. Predators. At night, being isolated meant being vulnerable. 3. Fire dependency. Fires needed to be maintained. Someone had to stay alert. So sleep was not a shutdown of awareness. It was a shared lowering of consciousness, while someone always remained partially awake. There was no fixed bedtime, no routine, no, I'm going to bed now. Sleep happened in layers. Some people slept deeply, some woke periodically, some stayed half alert. Others took turns watching fire or listening for movement. It wasn't a single event. It was a rotating system of awareness loss and recovery inside a group. Here's something modern minds struggle with. There was almost no concept of sleeping alone. Even families didn't separate into rooms. Even children didn't have individual sleeping spaces. And yet, this wasn't seen as unusual, because privacy during sleep wasn't considered necessary. It wasn't even conceptualized the way it is today. Being alone at night didn't feel peaceful. It felt risky. So how did people handle comfort at all? They didn't eliminate discomfort, they adapted around it. For example, if the ground was hard, add leaves or hides. If it was cold, sleep closer together. If it was dangerous, sleep near fire. If it was wet, move location entirely. Sleep wasn't about optimizing rest. It was about negotiating conditions every single night. Then something changed, slowly, not instantly. Agriculture. When humans began settling in one place, something subtle happened. They stopped following survival conditions daily and started shaping the environment instead. That meant permanent shelters, enclosed spaces, structured rooms, and eventually raised sleeping surfaces. The earliest beds weren't furniture. They were improvements. Animal skins on raised platforms, woven mats, straw-filled frames. Not luxury, just distance from the ground. Once walls existed, sleep stopped being purely functional. For the first time, you could lie down alone. You could separate from the group. You could shut out sound and movement. But even then, this wasn't common. For most of history after that, beds were still shared, entire families in one room, sometimes one surface. Privacy during sleep is actually extremely recent, modern even, not ancient. Here's where it gets interesting. We often think beds made sleep better. And physically, that's true, but they also changed something deeper. Sleep stopped being a group survival event and became a personal experience. For the first time in history, humans could fully disengage from others at night, and that changed how we think about rest, safety, and even loneliness. Because before beds, you didn't fall asleep alone with your thoughts. You fell asleep surrounded by other living humans breathing next to you. Today, we have the most comfortable sleep in human history. Soft mattresses, silent rooms, controlled temperatures, complete separation. And yet, sleep-related anxiety, insomnia, and loneliness are more common than ever. We solved the physical problem, but created a new psychological one. We can finally sleep alone, but we weren't designed for that experience for most of our history. So how did humans sleep before beds existed? They didn't go to bed at all. They gathered, they adapted, they shared warmth, danger, and awareness. Sleep was not escape, it was coordination. And then, slowly, we built something new: walls, rooms, beds, and finally, the ability to disappear into sleep alone. A luxury so normal today that we've forgotten it's one of the newest inventions in human history.